Good morning, students. Let's come back to our biology class. Today we are going to discuss the second part of chapter number 1, that is sexual reproduction. By these days we were discussing the first part of chapter number 1, that was asexual reproduction. I hope all of you understood that portion well. If you have any doubt regarding that part, you can put comments in comment box. So today we can start sexual reproduction. Do you know what is the definition of sexual reproduction? Already we had learned in our lower classes. Once again we can recall the definition of sexual reproduction. It is the process of producing a new living organism by the involvement of two parents. Most multicellular organisms reproduce sexually. Sexual reproduction involves male and female gametes. Male gametes we can call as sperm and female gametes we can call as eggs. When they united together to form a zygote, this zygote is a unique new individual introducing variations into a population. What do you mean by variation? The small changes or difference we can see in a living organism that we can call as variations. Variations finally leads to the formation of a new species. The cells of multicellular organisms can be divided into two broad categories. First one is germ cells, second one is somatic cells. Germ cells which give rise to the gametes. Gametes are the cells that combine in sexual reproduction to form a new organism. Somatic cells are all cells of the body with the exception of the germ cells. Advantages and benefits of sexual reproduction. The genetic diversity introduced by sexual reproduction can allow a species to survive changing environmental conditions. This is a major benefit to the survival of the species. Already I told by sexual reproduction what can bring variations can bring into a living organisms. This variation help a living organism to survive changing environmental conditions. This is a major benefit to the survival of the species. Now let us going to discuss phases of life. Lifespan of an organism usually includes 4 phases. They are juvenile phase, reproductive phase or maturity phase, aging and senescence, last death. These are the 4 phases of life. One by one we can discuss. First one is juvenile phase. It is the period from birth till the attainment of sexual maturity. So it is the period from the birth till the attainment of sexual maturity. This phase we can call as juvenile phase or vegetative phase. Second one is reproductive phase or maturity phase. The end of juvenile phase or vegetative phase marks the beginning of reproductive phase. That means reproductive phase will start the end of juvenile phase. During this phase, organisms produce offspring. So these are the points we have to remember from reproductive phase. Then third phase we can call as aging and senescence. First we can discuss what is senescence. Senescence is a permanent state of cell cycle arrest. That means cell function or cell cycle will stop its function during this phase. It is one of the causative process of aging and it is responsible of aging related disorders. It is refers to the developmental changes at which close to death syndrome. It means during senescence the organism can show death symptoms. Senescence contribute to age-related tissue and organ dysfunction. That means during senescence, organism's body, what are present, organ and tissue, organ systems are present. They will not function properly during this phase. And various chronic age-related diseases are also take place during senescence. After senescence, the organism will enter to the last phase, that is death. Next we can discuss what is aging. Aging refers to destructive changes that occur in all organisms without any reference to death. That means during aging, a lot of destructive changes take place in a living organisms that are not regarding death symptoms. Okay, and final stage of or final phase of life cycle is death phase. Okay, in death phase, what will happen? It is the end of life of an organism. Finally, that organism will die during this phase. So these are the 4 phases of life which we can see in a living organisms. Next we can discuss the differences between juvenile phase and reproductive phase. First we can discuss juvenile phase. Juvenile phase is early phase of the life cycle of an organism. It is the early phase of the life cycle of an organism. It is a period of rapid growth. That means in juvenile phase, organisms growth is very fast. That organism will grow very rapidly in this phase. In this phase, shape and size changes. That means shape and size of the body of an organism is not permanent in this phase. Okay, it can change. This phase is devoid of functional sex organs. Sex organs are not functional during juvenile phase. Individuals in this phase are not sexually active also. So these are the points we have to remember in juvenile phase or in the case of juvenile phase. Next we can discuss reproductive phase. It is middle phase of the life cycle of a living organism. Growth is either slow or absent in this phase. Growth can become slow or it can be absent in this phase. It is a phase of permanent shape and size. It means the living organism will attain a permanent body shape and size during this phase. It is characterized by the presence of functional sex organs. It means sex organs are very active or functional in this phase. Individuals in this phase are sexually active. So these are the points you have to remember in reproductive phase. So revise all these points once again and I will come with a new video in the next session. Thank you.